What's up guys, it's SCG here, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to fix microphone issues on Discord. So I'll be showing you how to do this on PC and Mac. So let's start off with PC. First off, I'm just going to go over some of the basic and obvious fixes you can do to get your microphone to work on Discord. Most likely you've already tried these, but even if you have, I'd recommend going over them again, just in case you missed something, or just to triple check and make sure you got it down. So first off is make sure your microphone is actually plugged into your computer on the microphone end and on the PC end. If you have a USB microphone like I do, make sure it's plugged into the right USB port. Most microphones don't need any high-speed data ports, but plug it into the USB 3.0 or highest data speed port you have available. Basically the blue USB port if you have one on your computer. If you're using an audio jack cable for your microphone, make sure you plug the cable into the correct port on your computer. For example, here on my PC, there's one for microphones and one for speakers and headphones. So be sure you plug it into the right port here. Most likely it is going to be colored pink for microphone and green for speakers. So just match the color on the cable to the color on your PC and you should be good to go. Lastly, if you have a more professional studio microphone like this one here, be sure that all the dials for gain and volume and the different microphone modes are turned to the correct positions. And also be sure that any mute buttons are not pressed on the microphone. So from here now, we can go to Discord itself. And starting off in an actual Discord server here, we can change a few settings to see if it works. First of all, make sure you're not muted in the voice channel. So make sure that you're not muted or deafened. Also, if you're in a voice channel with like one or two other people, make sure they have your user's volume set up as high as it can be. Sometimes different microphones can have different levels of volume and different users have it set differently. So make sure that your volume slider for that user is set up as high as it can be so they can actually hear your voice. And lastly, make sure you're not muted in any way on the server. So make sure you're not in trouble. Make sure a mod did not mute you for any reason. And once you're sure of that, then we can move on to these next settings here. So we go down here to the user settings menu, go down to voice and video, and starting off here with input device, make sure that your actual physical microphone is selected. So by default, Discord has default selected here on the drop down menu, and most of the time that works just fine, but occasionally you'll have a microphone slip in or an application will create a virtual microphone like this one right here, and it will confuse Discord and you'll have to add it manually. So in this case, I'm going to switch over to the Yeti stereo microphone manually here just to be sure it actually picks up the right device. Below that, make sure that the input volume slider is set to 100%. Below that, we can actually test our microphone to see if it's actually working with Discord. So click on the start testing button, and as you can see here, it is picking up my voice because of those green bars. It's right there in the Goldilocks zone, not too high, not too low. Now, if you're seeing just yellow bars, then there's most likely an issue with either the volume on your computer or the microphone itself. So be sure the gain's turned up as high as it can be, and then I'll show you just after the Discord settings how to change the volume for your microphone on your Windows computer. If you're just seeing gray bars, then there's an issue either with your microphone being muted or with the microphone itself. There's some issue with it being plugged in or it's disabled on Windows somehow. So we'll go over that later with the Windows settings. And then lastly, if you're seeing green bars, but you're still not hearing your voice in the server, or your friends are not hearing your voice, that is once again most likely an issue with you being muted or with your friends having your user volume set too low. So make sure they change that and make sure you are unmuted, and you should be good to go there. Below that, we have our input mode. So by default, it's at voice activity. So whenever we have a sound detected by our microphone that's over a certain decibel level, it's going to go into the voice chat and it'll be heard by everyone there. So by default, it's set to voice activity. So whenever we talk into the microphone, Discord automatically detects that and it unmutes us and we are heard in the server. So with this, make sure that your sensitivity is set to the right position. So if you have a microphone that is super sensitive, you might have to turn it up. If it is less sensitive, you might have to turn it down. So just mess with the slider and make sure. Obviously, if you're not seeing anything up here, then this isn't going to do anything for you. But if you are seeing like yellow, make sure you turn it up a little bit so you can pick up those less sensitive sounds. But for me, the automatic setting works most of the time here. If you have push to talk enabled, make sure you have the right shortcut set for push to talk. And if you have push to talk accidentally enabled, then just go back here to voice activity. Below the video settings, we have some AI options here for noise suppression, echo cancellation. So these are optional. They have them enabled by default, but You can disable them. Most likely this is not causing a microphone issue, but sometimes when updates are released, some of this AI stuff can be a little bit dysfunctional, so try disabling it and see if it works. Other than that, that's about all we can do here in Discord itself. So from here we can exit out and we can change settings on the Windows computer itself. So to go to our main sound settings, we need to go down here to this volume icon here. If you don't have it, then click in this menu and then find it and then right click onto it and go to sounds. From here it's going to open up this menu, go over to the recording tab, and you should see all of your microphones listed right here. If you don't, what you can do is right click and make sure that show disabled devices and show disconnected devices are both checked. So if the microphone you want to use is grayed out like this and it has the black down pointing arrow there, then that means it is disabled and you can't actually use it. So to enable the microphone, right click onto the mic and select enable. That will activate the microphone and you can now use it and it'll be viewed by other applications like Discord. So this isn't the microphone I want, so I'm going to disable it. Down here you can see my actual microphone I'm using right now. So on the right here we have the green bars, kind of like the Discord application where we can see our volume levels here. And then on the left side here you can see we have a check mark that lets me know that this is set as the default device. And it will be detected by most applications as the default device. If our microphone is not set as the default, what we can do is we can right click and select the option set as default device. Then right click again and select set as default communication device so that it's set as both default devices for our computer. Now, if we are still having issues even after all that, we can right click on this and go to properties. These first two tabs don't really do much for us, but the levels tab here is important. This is basically the volume option for our microphone, so make sure that this is turned up to 100%. Otherwise, the microphone is not going to pick up your voice at all. Next tab here, advanced, we have our format, so make sure it's set to the highest format. If you're having issues, you can always try to lower it and see if that fixes anything, but usually this does not affect our microphone at all, at least as far as our voice not being heard. Below that, exclusive mode. This basically allows certain applications to claim the microphone as their own and use it exclusively with that application. So that could definitely mess with Discord if there's another application running that wants to use the microphone. Discord will not have access to it and our voice will not be heard. So make sure this is unchecked. I think by default this is actually checked. At least it was when I first got this microphone, so make sure it's unchecked. Otherwise, if you have just any application that might use the microphone, it could be exclusive to that application and you won't see it on Discord. So press OK here. You can exit out of here, and all of these settings so far should have fixed 90% of the microphone issues you could have been having, but there are a few more settings we can play with here. First is the dark arts of device drivers. So in case you didn't know, drivers are basically what make our devices run on our system. It is what allows the devices to be recognized by applications and the system itself, and sometimes those drivers need to be updated. So we can view all of our device drivers here by going to Device Manager, and in here we can find our microphone. So for me it's the Yeti. I'm going to go to Audio Inputs and Outputs, and I'm going to right click on the Yeti stereo microphone. I'm going to update driver, and I'm going to search automatically. So Windows knows that we already have the best ones installed. I can always search for more on Windows Update. For example, if I go here to optional updates, I can go to driver updates and see if I have any for my audio. Now for me, my Yeti microphone does not have a dedicated driver for it, so it would be whatever default Windows driver is being used on the system here. So I don't currently have a driver update for my default Windows device drivers for microphones, so we're all good on that front. Now if you're using a different kind of microphone, it might have its own unique device driver. So in that case, you're going to go to your manufacturer's website. So for me, it's Yeti. I'm going to search the microphone and I'll go to the website. So once again, like I said, Yeti does not have its own drivers for its microphones, but if you go to your manufacturer's website, the page will look similar to this, where it has different driver versions for different editions of Windows, and it'll have a list of all the different driver updates and such. From there, you'll go here to your device manager. Once again, right click update driver, and instead of doing automatically, you'll browse your computer for the device drivers. So you can point directly to a folder here and you can install the drivers directly. Sometimes drivers will also have like an executable thing where you can just click on it and it'll install automatically. So either way, it works just fine. So drivers aren't usually the cause. Microphones don't have large device drivers like some other devices do, at least in my experience. So that most likely will not be the cause of the issue, but it is worth a try anyway. Lastly, we can go to the old Windows troubleshooter to see if it finds anything for us. So open up your settings menu again here. Type in troubleshooting, troubleshoot settings, and then go down here to the bottom to additional troubleshooters. Scroll past all of these options and then go down to recording audio, select run the troubleshooter, and it's going to see if it can find any problems. Select the right microphone, and it could not find anything wrong with the microphone. So Windows troubleshooter doesn't always work. It usually points us in the direction of some obvious fixes like turning up the volume and changing a few basic settings, but most of the time it doesn't really give us an in-depth fix for how to solve a problem, but it is worth a shot. So at this point, if your microphone is still not working, I would suggest looking to buy a new microphone, because most likely if none of these fixes solve the problem, then it's an issue with the microphone itself or your computer, something wrong with the hardware side, and I would just recommend either trying your microphone on a different device to see if the microphone just doesn't work anywhere, or get a new microphone, see if it works on your PC. If it still doesn't work on your PC, it's probably some issue with the computer itself. With some of these, the best solution is just to restart your computer and see if that fixes the issue. Alright, so now let's go over to a Mac computer. This process is a lot simpler, but there are a lot fewer options we can toggle with here on a Mac computer. So first of all, same options apply in the Discord application. So if you missed that, go ahead to this timestamp right here where I covered it on the Windows side. Same process you use on the Mac system. Same settings, just change those. If that doesn't work, then come over here to System Preferences. Go here to Sound or Audio. And in here, go all the way to the right to the Input tab. So in here, make sure your microphone is actually selected. So I only have one, the MacBook Air microphone built in. Have that selected. Make sure the slider is set to maximum here. As you can see, it is detecting my voice and it knows there's volume. And then lastly, make sure you're not muted in any way here in the setting. Other than that, that about does it for the MacBook. Really not too many issues there. The one thing I will note is make sure your microphone is actually compatible with a Mac computer. Most of the time they are, but there are a few times where you'll get a Mac exclusive microphone or a Windows exclusive microphone where it won't work on either system. So make sure to keep a lookout for those, but those are few and far between, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. Other than that, that about does it for today's tutorial. If you enjoyed, leave a like down below. If you would like to see a future tutorial on other things about Discord or PCs or Macs or PlayStation 4s or PlayStation 5s or Nintendo Switches, smartphones, tablets, e-readers, Fitbits, I don't care at this point. Just leave a comment down below and I'll get started on it right away. Other than that, I've been Steven, your semi-comprehensive guide, and be sure to have a wonderful rest of your day.